We're live, folks, and I know I look a little different. This is not somebody who's hijacked the stream. This is me, barefaced, and I've got a story to tell. So, welcome to the show. It is our Friday evening off-topic show, and like I said, I got some news for you guys. But first, let's go through the intro. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a flawed man of God, the deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, and I haven't been to seminary. Not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible, talk about Christianity, talk about a wide variety of topics, issues, and current events, and give you my perspective on them, one that I think is reflective of your average Christian guy. I've been a Christian all my life, 40 years, non-denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word daily, trying to do better each and every day. Try to live a life closer to Christ. And sometimes I'll do it. Sometimes I'll fall short. But either way, if I'm streaming, you're going to get my honest takes on things, which is what I hope you all can get out of this. This is a very relaxed layperson approach. I am not a professional. This is not me. Um, you know, this is not me giving you anything other than the me that you would meet when you run into. This is from the heart, and I think this is something that a lot of folks can better relate to than maybe listening to a pastor preach or a missionary reach out to you in some way that you might think that there's an agenda behind it. There is an agenda. My agenda is to get you to agree, to lead you to Christ, but at the same time show you them I'm in your shoes as well. That all of us are broken, and that there's not all that much difference between Christians and other people other than the fact that we believe and have faith in the Lord and Jesus and the Holy Spirit and that salvation that we get through them, the Trinity. And with that said, let's get into the show proper. I'm not going to do the long intro. Got the guys filing in. I know y'all missed me. I've missed you guys. First off, I am streaming from the old computer. I have hijacked the computer. My son is playing Scrap Mechanic on, and because it still has a working video card, I have that in place, and that's what I'm using at this point until I get the new video card in. That is really hampering things at this moment, and that's why I wasn't streaming Tuesday. Wednesday was something long anticipated, something that I have not told you guys about, some things I've asked prayers for without much in the way of details, something that me and my family have been struggling with for um, over a year now. So I'm trying. Maybe how do I want to introduce this? Do I want to start at the beginning or do I want to start at the end? How about this? I'll give you the end result and then I'll play it back like some cliched movie. The good news was yesterday at 8:14, my wife gave birth to our third kid, a daughter. Happy, healthy, everything is going great. So the reason for my unkempt appearance with the extra long beard and the extra long hair, if you didn't see it, it was down past my it was getting down to the bottom, is that when me and my wife are expecting a child, I do not cut my hair or shave my beard. I don't trim it at all. I don't get a haircut. I don't do nothing. Everything just grows out. to much detriment because I look completely unprofessional. Went to a completely unprofessional to other folks. So the length was insane. I've never had it longer than that before. Now, why would my hair be longer if I've had two other kids and I don't do this? And herein lies the journey. Um, Me and my wife found out we were expecting our third kid in March of last year. And we told our kids at Easter that that we were having another kid. That was part of the Easter egg hunt. The final egg was a pair of baby socks and a note. Unfortunately, a week later, we miscarried, and that was the first time we have experienced that. The difficulty with that for us as a family with two young kids that you kind of have to explain that to um, is mitigated by the fact that we have two healthy, energetic, lovely kids that we adore. We already had what we felt was mostly a family that we were together with, right? It was a very stressful time, but one where we could lean on faith and lean on the blessings that we already had in order to deal with what had befallen. Again, it's a difficult thing, and I feel for folks, especially families who have not had kids yet and go through this. And many of y'all came from Nick's show. He's been very um, open about that. That's a real with fertility issues and everything. Um, and the miscarriages that he and his wife had to go through before they had a plentiful, bountiful, blessed family that they have now. That has to be much more taxing, but it is still difficult, and it was one where my wife, who is not that much younger than me, was feeling a roadblock because of her age. Now, I told her, I was like, look, people have kids past 40. She's not even there yet. I was like, people have kids past 40, and it's not that big of a deal. Um, when my dad was born, his parents were 40, and was 40 or in their 40s. I think they were 40. Um, when my wife was born, her parents were 40. So it happens all the time. But trying to rationalize that is difficult in the moment, right? When you're down in the dumps. But what she was, and I give my wife amazing credit for, what it was that she held fast to, which is a great example to all of us, is she held fast to the Lord. Trust in Him. He has a plan. We either will have more kids, or not have more kids. And so, um, not long after that, um, we were expecting our next kid. That miscarried as well. And we were going through that. And then in October, my wife was feeling odd and like she's pregnant, but the timing didn't seem right to her. but she turned on. She took a couple of pregnancy tests, and she did and realized at that point that she was indeed pregnant once more, and this one went to term, and they are both at the hospital as we speak, and we intend to have them home at some point tomorrow. So Wednesday there was not going to be a stream because we were at the hospital. Possible emergency C-section, but scheduled for Thursday morning. So things have come to full circle in that, and then we're enjoyable. She is she is a very large child. She is not the biggest that we've had, the biggest that me and my wife have had, but not the biggest on my side of the family. But we are ecstatic and over the moon, and again counting our blessings and putting all of our thanks in God, but not without acknowledging that the folks in our circle, our life group, our church, who were there for us for every step of the way, and were there for us years before that. It is a blessing to be around this and be around people who care and will share as much as your pain as you can give them and still ask for more, and will ask for pain to share pain with you that you aren't comfortable really sharing. But the fact that they are willing means a great deal. And it's something that we'll talk about some more. Like I said, once we get to Job's going to be a big study in dealing with tragedy and the obstacles in life, and when things don't seem to go your way, because Christianity is not prosperity gospel. Christianity isn't a ticket to live life on easy mode. What it is a ticket to is understanding why life is such a blessing and why it's so good, and finding avenues to enjoy it even when enjoyment can elude you, has times when it eludes you. And it's easy for me to say because I have been incredibly blessed. And I hope, and I've my biggest concern, one of my biggest worries that goes through my head is that those blessings will cease, and perhaps I'm tested, and maybe I come up short. But more than that, my blessings are so much based in the people, my family, and I don't want any of them I don't want any of them to suffer because my blessings end, right? I don't want that to be the case. Anyway, so the other thing that happens. So what happens is I've been growing this out since the March pregnancy. So for over a year, I have not. I normally keep a beard. I just stopped cutting it, so that has been growing. And my hair is normally a high and tight, military high and tight. And so that grows out. For a year, I've been growing my hair, haven't cut it. And then what happens is, when my son was born, when my daughter was born, I cut it all the way back and start from scratch. I have shaved this like this maybe 3 times since I started since I started growing a beard 10 years ago. 10 years ago? Before that, a little bit before, a little over 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago. But less than 11. Over 10 years, but less. No, I take that back. It was the 2012 Stanley Cup playoffs. That's when I started growing my beard. That's when I realized I could grow a beard. and that I look good with one. So I kept it up, and so I shaved it. This is my fourth time. Fourth time. I take that back. Fifth time. Jeez. Okay. So the first time, grew it out for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hadn't had anything more than a goatee before that. And I said, well, you know, the Devils are in the playoffs. They're probably not going to go far, but I'm going to have a playoff beard. I won't shave until they get booted out. And if any of you guys follow hockey, which I'm sure most of y'all don't, the Stanley Cup playoffs last forever. And the Devils rode it all the way to Game 6 at the very end in the Stanley Cups or Stanley Cup. And by that time, I had a pretty good beard going on. At the same time, my brother was getting married a few months later. And most of the folks in his wedding party were also growing beards. So I said, I'll just keep mine around. Right. At the same, when all this started, my wife said, you're going to hate this. It's going to itch. You're going to hate it. She didn't like beards. It's going to itch. You're going to hate it. You're going to get rid of it. And that'll be that. And then, but I told her after the Devils lost, I told her, I was like, I'm going to keep it around. I'm going to keep it at least as long until my brother gets married, because almost everybody in his wedding party has a beard, including him. So I wanted to be kind of part of the crew, right? Because everybody else there is friends. I'm the family member. So that happens, and the next day, we get home, and I shave it off entirely. The day after that, she comes back to me and she goes, I like the beard better. Bring the beard back. And so the beard came back. And then it got shaved because not long after that, we were expecting our first kid, my son. I shaved it after that. I shaved it once because we did trunk or treat, and I was Charlie Brown, and you couldn't have Charlie Brown with a beard, so I had to shave it. I was Charlie Brown, wife was Lucy, son was Snoopy. It was great. It was adorable. Then I shaved it again when my daughter was born. I think that was the last time. So it's been like 7 years. And so, if you want to see Army me, with about 40 or 50 extra pounds, this is what I look like. And 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And this is what I look like. But it's going to grow back. The hair will not be long again, probably, unless my wife can really convince me. The kids, my son shaved my head, not all the way. I had to clean it up to measure it. But the kids, because they thought the thing was so cool, because they never got to really experience it. When my daughter was born, my son was too understanding. That is not a good look. This look I got married with this look, Dresden. I met my wife with this look. I only get better with age. So my daughter shaved my beard. Oh, not with a razor. She got the clippers. She trimmed that down. I did the final shaving, and the same thing with evening it up to 10. So both of them had a hand in it. They both enjoyed it. My son was very upset. He did not really want to see the hair go, but once he started doing it, he realized, this is really relaxing. This is really nice. That was so funny. But they're excited. Their sister's coming home tomorrow, and they are excited to have her and welcome her along. This is why we moved the show to 8:30. Sean, I look like a turtle. I'm turtle enough for the Turtle Club. This is why we moved the show to 8:30, because this is more in line with my son's bedtime. my wife is going to be dealing with the baby. And so I need to be all over making sure that the kids are ready for bed. So we had to move we had to move the show time from 8 o'clock to 8:30. And so if you want to know why we moved the show time to then, that's why. Thanks. I love the comments. I knew I was going to get a ton of them. I was thinking Nernath was actually going to be like, this isn't the real Stuart Flawed Man. This is some dude who's hijacked his stream. And I thought you were really going to run with that. But the beard's coming back, guys. I like the beard. The beard's coming back. I'm going back to my old high and tight. So that's going to grow out for a little bit. And it'll be just like the show when I started. If you started the show, if you go back to my early videos, you see my haircut then. There it is. That's me, right? But I appreciate those who have been praying for me when I've asked it and have stuck by me in these these days where I've taken off. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the prayers, all the thoughts. I appreciate all your views and everything. I appreciate you coming in and picking at me and telling me about this. It's gonna be interesting. If how long does it take for your beard to grow? In 2 weeks, probably. It'll be looking much more back to normal. I guess you'll find out though, Dresden. I didn't know it bothered you. It was going to bother you that much. If I'd have known that, I would have shaved before, just to get a reaction. But yeah, look. So for all of you, that's too long. That's too long. The beard was too long. The beard was getting out of control. And though I was impressed, you should have seen the amount of hair because I've got a balcony. So the man cave is actually not a man cave. It's a frog, finished room over garage. And so it goes out, and then outside it goes out to its own balcony porch. You can't get to it from the ground. It just stands out there. So it's got a nice bench and everything. And I got a chair out there. So I sat out there and the kids cut my hair, and my mom, she held the camera, and we live streamed it on Facebook. And it was hilarious. We broke the clippers. We broke my set of clippers, and we had to go out and get a new one before we could finish. That was the funny part. So there you go. With that said, let me get into something that's long overdue. Matt Felty, first, welcome, Matt. Glad to have you here. MR, how's it going? Nernath, who is this baby on the stream? That is my baby face. Believe it or not, this is the face of a 40-year-old man. 40-ish year old man. Carl, hey y'all. How's it going? Hope I didn't scare you away by the pastiness of my face. Jesden, your face is broken. It's Justin. My face is fine. Nernath said, not Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov, whatever. MR, what happened to the beard? A lot of congratulations. Some condolences. I appreciate you guys. Matt Felty, I'm 42 and single, unsure if a wife or biological kids are in my future. Never say it's too late, Matt. And I served with a guy. Went to Iraq with him. Now, he'd been married several times and he had kids before. But he got married to his wife. He was 62 when we deployed. 62 years old. Vietnam veteran. This is 2005. He was a Vietnam veteran. 62 years old. It was his last tour. He was getting out as soon as we got back. His wife was 35 years old. She got pregnant with his kid right before we deployed. About a month, 2 months before we deployed, I think, anyway. So there's that. And I'm sitting there doing the math in my head. I was like, he is going to be 80 years old when his girl is graduating from high school. It's like, that is insane. If he makes it that long. Hopefully he does. Nothing but the best wishes for her. In fact, she would be graduating this year. She'd be graduating next month. Man of my times. That just came under that realization telling the story right now. It's an amazing thing. I hope he's doing okay. Now I need to watch. Now I need to look him up. That's not him. Which is obvious, which is funny because as soon as I type it in, I'm gonna have to look him up. I'm gonna have to make some calls, see if anybody's checked in on him recently. Anyway, way off topic. We ran into him. I want to say it was 2010. Me and my wife, and I saw him. We ran into each other at a Walmart, and he was there with his daughter. And I introduced him to my wife and everything, and we chatted for a little bit, and then we, went our separate ways. And as we were walking away, my wife was like, she's like, his granddaughter was super cute, and I go, that's his daughter. She was floored. Told her that story. You never know. All right. And here's another story, Matt. I was telling you that my wife, when my wife was born, her parents were were 40. It was her dad's first kid. It's her dad's first kid. So don't give up, right, on something. Don't perseverate over it, because then you end up with you end up trying too hard, the watch pot, all that stuff. Don't perseverate on it, but don't give up. Right. And again, and maybe biological kids aren't in your future. Who knows? Lots of people who are younger than you have faced that problem. There are lots of kids out there that need to be adopted, that need strong male role models in their life, that are already born or are being born. My first nephew, he was adopted from birth. Right? Great kid. Love him to death. But there were some things going on, and his mother gave him up for adoption, and he became a part of this family. And he's been very well provided for. And that's great, because a lot of kids are put in that position, or in the foster system, don't get those opportunities. And one thing that I think Nick explains so very well is how cost prohibitive it seems these days is to adopt kids, whether it's stateside or abroad, because it was something that me and my wife looked into, because she has genetic hearing loss, and we were concerned about possibly having a deaf kid. This is when we were very young, and eventually we got over it, obviously. But if we had a kid that couldn't hear or had hearing impairment, we'd drive on. We'd have a kid like that. But that's something that we looked into, adopting a kid from from Asia adopting a kid stateside. It's expensive any way you look at it, and an invasive process. And I think Nick's explanations on those go a long way into identifying the source of much of the problem there. MR saying, hooray! Ha! Yes. Congratulations all around going around. I appreciate that, guys. And yeah, it's been great. MR said, had a beard since 23, haven't ever clean shaved since. Scared to. I nicked myself once. It was a little out of practice. I don't use shaving cream though. I'm a man. Just hot water. Hot water and a hot blade. That's all you need. And then how you gonna she knew. How are you gonna tell your wife? She knew this was happening. And so I took right after I finished, I took the kids back over to the hospital. That's where I've been staying for the most part. But the night before, that's another part of our routine. The night before, I usually go home and get a full night's rest for the rest of the day. Get a full night's rest, ready to move on. And we've got a very busy weekend, even outside of new baby, because we have commitments that we have to do. We've got a full schedule, and now it's going to be much more full. But she knew, and I walked in with the kids to see her, and the baby gal, and she was like, "Whoa!" She's like, "It is like seeing a stranger now," because it's been 7 years. And Renee said, "I didn't mind a beard, but I was disappointed in it. Might try again later." The thing is, you got to look at, and it might not work, right? But you got to be very patient with it because it grows slowly for everybody. And or not everybody. Some people can grow beard like that. And some people it takes much longer. So with me, it took a little while at first, especially at first, to grow it out. You'll find out how well Dresden, especially. Well, I'm sure he'll be having hash marks like it's a prison sentence. He'll be keeping a tally on things. And then I look like a turtle. Terrible. Blaine, oops, sorry, wrong stream. This is Baghdad Bob levels of treason. They allow people that old to deploy. That is as old as you can without being a general, I think. It is, or maybe some of the very top of the enlisted line. I don't think so though. I think once you get to 62, I think that's your that age cutoff. That might have changed. That might have changed these days. I don't know. But when we were there, that was it. Like I said, it was his last time out. Been doing it since he was drafted in Vietnam. And there you go. Have you seen who they let be cops? They bet they have a meal team 6. I mean, have people out of shape. Physical fitness is not the highest priority. It so if the way the Army used to work, and again, I don't know. I'd have to ask my buddy who is still in. I know they've got a new physical fitness team standard. But the way it used to work, you had to do push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. Right? That's how the Army worked. Push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run. And it was basically you had the standard was based on the age. So your standard was very high at first, gets up higher after when you're a teenager, like 18 to 21, I think it's very high. It gets a little bit higher from 22 to 25, and then it gradually slopes down. Which is odd. You'd think we'd all have to be the same. We'd have the same fitness standards all around. Wait until I tell you what the. Let me see if I can look this up. This is a problem I have, right? The problem I had in the military. see if it's still on here. Nope, that's the new. That was when that's the newer one. Let's see if I can pull this up. That's aerobic standards. Ah, I can't zoom in on it. Can I zoom in on it? Zoom in. Let me zoom in. There we go. All right, so I'm going to share my stream now. Share my screen. All right. So here's your standards. Now, this is from 2010, which is around the same time I got out. I got out in 2009. So your push-up standards, 17 to 21. In order, so your minimum required, is a score of 60 in each event. All right. And it consists of push-ups, sit-ups, and 2-mile run. All right. Just taking the push-ups, right? You have to do, if you are a 17 to 21-year-old male, you have to do 42 push-ups in order to make the minimum score. That is a 2-minute timed event. Your knees cannot touch the ground or the event ends at wherever you were at, right? So you could, if you did 62 and then your knees hit the ground, you don't fail it. You got your just score ends at 62. And then that goes up to 40. I'm sorry, that dips. I'm sorry, your max goes up. Your minimum actually goes down to 40. And it continues to go down and down and down and down and down and down. All right. And there we go. 17 to 21, all the way to 62 plus. They just have different brackets. So a 17 to 21-year-old male needs to do 40 push-ups in order to pass. A 17 to 21-year-old female needs to do 19 push-ups to pass. Less than half. If a female does as many as a man needs to do to pass, she earns 100%. She maxes the score on that physical fitness test. Good thing for everybody that combat considers gender, right? Sit-up standards. This one's actually much more equal. It's the same for men and women all around. Here's the 2-mile run. A 17 to 21-year-old male has to run 2 miles in 15 minutes, 54 seconds in order to pass. So basically an 8-minute mile, just better than an 8-minute mile. A female of the same age has to do it in 18 minutes, 54 seconds. 2 extra minutes. And again, if she beats the male's standard score by 20 seconds, she maxes it. She maxes it. Again, it's a good thing enemy combatants take gender into account when in combat. So I'm not necessarily sold on military physical fitness standards. on a sliding scale based on gender or age. Matt Felty, whoa, thanks for sharing that. Cool props for him going in at 60 or going at 62. My unit chaplain had been in service since Korea when we left OIF 1. Yeah, and I think for doctors and chaplains and generals, I think there are some age exceptions, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, I was OIF 3. So that was only like, what, a year and a half later? And Sean, in the beginning, they were taking all volunteers. I think my doctor redeployed at 40-ish. Awesome. Thanks, brother. Yeah, I've put it out of mind as I work on improving in Christ. There you go. I know people that can get kids cheaper. Otherwise, that's an easy 10 to 20K based on locale. Yeah, basically. It was 10,000 basically what we were looking at. Just getting your foot in the door. And that was 15 years ago. My fault for being out of the know. I still haven't jumped on the locals or Discord. That's fine, Matt. I mean, whenever you want to, that's fine. It's not super active. What you do miss when you're not on the Discord is some pretty good memes from Nernaeth, especially. Nernaeth said, I gave my beard 2 months. I think I have too little northern blood. Maybe try 4 months. Dressed in having an existential crisis. 2 miles in how long? That's my daily run. I'm 33. 16 minutes was minimum. Yeah. 1420 was 100. Somewhere in the 14s was max. No, 13 minutes was max at your youngest. But then I think it went up to 14. I think because I actually maxed my run once. I did it in 12:46. That was my best score. I never came even close to touching it again. I don't know what I was on. I wasn't on anything, but man, I can't believe I ran that fast. Blaine said, just finished tuning my chainsaw and I don't have any 2-stroke oil. That oil is like the old lady's oil in flower pots, the 5 loaves. How do you run out? How do you run out? I feel like, Blaine, I'll ship you some of mine because I'm sure I've got 3 open containers at home, right downstairs in the garage. I can do 30-ish push-ups, 50 sit-ups in a minute, and 19 2-mile. Let's see. 33. MR, that 1554 is for a 17 to 21-year-old. You're 33. The standard's the lower. I could always max sit-ups, get in about 70 and push-ups and pass 2-mile. That was where I was, except for once my feet started to, my arches started to collapse due to the, what my orthopedist told me is that me and my platoon sergeant actually at the same time, both, we had, fallen arch. My arches collapsed. He had some other type of pain related to blood vessels in his feet. Basically, my arches collapsed on my feet. As I said, it was due to the heat and no support. And I was wearing boots with the standard insoles. And because of that, they said was likely the cause of my arches collapse. And I have consistent foot pain because of it. And because of that, I can't do any type of real running, prolonged running without a lot of pain. Shouldn't the fitness standard be based on job and not change for age or gender? That is a highly contentious point. I agree. I agree with it. But there you go. Suckers, I have no arches. I call them flippers. That means does that mean you're flat-footed? In which case their color blindness wouldn't have been all that held you back when you went to MEPS. Once they found out you're flat-footed, you were going to get 4F'd. Sorry, Blaine. I think you would have been great. Especially being in the anime. and tuning cars. You would have fit in perfectly, and you would probably either have an import now, but you would have a newer import, and you would have it rented, you would be leasing it or whatever. you would have a 20% interest rate on it. You see my new import? I have not seen your new import. Is it on Facebook? Blaine, 100% you should see the police exam standards compared to the Army. They're even worse. The Virginia Department of Corrections has no standards. I believe it. And they need people. Here's part of the thing. Fitness is not as big of a deal. Fitness is not as big of a deal as it used to be. And it's harder to find people who are willing to put that work in. There we go. Oh, that I haven't seen it yet, but I already know where this is going. I'm waiting for that to open an app. I'm gonna follow you. Boom. Look at that headshot. There you go. 4-wheel drive, that's all that matters, right? They laughed at my flat feet, but didn't mention that on the test. There's a minimum, but low staff make them disappear. That's the thing. If the standards will go away when you literally need warm bodies in there. 97 Honda truck. Before the Ridgeline, there was this baby. There you go. All right. So that's the backstory. That's some of the interest. And I've now got everybody caught up in the chat. So to talk about what is important in life is life. God created us. He put us on this planet. There are purposes behind this life and this gift that we've been given that are unknown to us. And we live, and eventually we die. And we move on to wherever he puts us next. There's a lot of different opinions out there on what that means. Many people have have a great imagination on what heaven is going to be like. We don't know. We have clues, nothing definitive, but we do have some foreshadowing to it. We know it's going to be great. And we are commanded to go out and spread the gospel and try to live life in concert with God's commandments and be an example to other people, so that maybe the gospel doesn't convince them. Maybe seeing your actions in life are what bring them around. People respond to different things. Life is precious. Those of us who have seen it go, have seen it pass in front of us, understand how fleeting it is. Those of us who have witnessed it coming into the world understand why we cherish it. And those of us who have not been able to experience bringing life in this world, but desire it, understand how valuable it is when there's something that seems beyond reach. It's important to us. It goes beyond this goes beyond this biological need that you'll listen to people who talk about the lizard brain and this is all just a big bang coincidence that we all ended up happening here, that the world, as complex as it is all random chance. There's more to that. There's a creator behind all this, and he cares. People don't just create things and walk away. Not this intricate. And there's a reason why we are so far ahead of the other living things on this planet, as far as with intelligence, creativity, ability, all those things. We're at the top. We've been that way forever. Blaine says, seen it go fast, seen it smolder out slow. See what it does with the people left in the wake. In the guy who runs Mandatory Fun Day on Instagram, they call it, apparently the new term for it is trauma bonding. People you've bonded with in the military, and then all of a sudden they're gone. Blaine, I'll tell you a little bit of, and it's not, I can't hold them folks, but so responsible for it. But stuff like Demon Slayer, when folks get hurt or killed in front of the character and he freaks out right then, that's not how people deal with that things in the moment, right? That's you working out that's you working things out after the fact, after things have calmed down, after you've gotten out of it. But there you go. Matt Felty, how did you come to find streaming as your way to share the word, the gospel, and the word? All right, so most of y'all know Nick's a friend of mine. Been a friend of mine. Nick Rekieta is a friend of mine. Been a friend of mine since before he started streaming. And when he started streaming, we were all kind of happy for it. It was funny at first because we were all kind of excited for him because we were all kind of in the middle of this Maddox and Dick Masterson lawsuit, just watching it unfold, because that's where we'd all gotten to know each other. And he had made the stream, and he knows the law. We knew he was a lawyer and everything, talking about that stuff. And he said, he was on there, so we watched a couple of videos, and everybody was like, that's great. And you knew it was taken off to a degree. And then I ended up listening to him later, as something to listen to while I was traveling, and I realized, he's actually really good at this. He's not just getting on there for the lulz, even though that's the motivation, but he's actually got a talent for this. And I said, much of his banter, and this was reinforced when we had made it when we hung out during the Philly trip, much of his banter was very similar to how we all talk, how our core group of friends all talk to each other. And I was like, damn, I can do that. I should get in on this, maybe give it a shot, but I didn't know what to talk about. So I talked to a couple of folks in that group to see if anybody was, what do we want to talk about? We threw a bunch of ideas around. And I was like, man, I'm not really an expert. No, the things that I do for a living are not that interesting. Not interesting enough to do that. And so I was kind of like giving up on the idea. But one of the things I know that is a passion of mine, obviously, is my faith. But then you run into the whole conundrum of this was originally thought of as a grift. And now I'm thinking of something that you don't treat as a grift. This is not, it's not meant to be a grift. This is a higher calling. And I said, I've got it. This is an interesting idea, but I got to change my whole outlook on it. And one of the things that I've struggled with all my life, I feel, is talking to people about God. People who don't believe, people who have questions, or you don't know, right? We're supposed to go out and disciple and be missionaries and evangelize and all this other stuff. But oftentimes it feels like cold calling. It feels forced. It feels awkward. And that is, I'm not good in those situations. I'm not good in situations where it's awkward and I don't realize it. I don't care about, because I don't realize it. But if I realize something is awkward and forced, I don't like being forced. I don't like to feel like I'm coming at something with an agenda. I don't feel like trying to sell you something that maybe you didn't ask for. What I did realize, though, is once you get me started, like if somebody comes up to me and asks me questions, I could talk to you about my faith and my beliefs and in God and the Bible and everything. I could talk to you all day about it. Love doing it. I've got very close friends where sometimes that's when we get together and our families are together and the kids are playing. That's what we talk about a majority of the time. And we do the same thing in Sunday school. And when I was teaching Sunday school to middle schoolers, I mean, it was just, I felt like once you get me on there and I start rolling, I can talk a lot. And so I realized, it's like, if this is what I'm going to do, this stops being a grift. The idea behind this stops being a grift. It ends up being a pathway to something that I've always struggled with myself. And that is getting the word out about God. Because in this method, I can put this information out there and you guys all see it, right? You guys all see it because you tune in week in and week out, or day in and day out, or whatever frequency you're able to make these streams. How's it going? How's it going, brother? And how's it going, Emmanuel? How's it going, Brian? How's it going, my folks who popped in while I've been on this place? You guys tune in for the live streams. Y'all catch it live and everything. But it's out there on the internet for anybody to find. Anybody who can stumble upon this will now be able to hear what I think is a modestly appropriate take on the Bible. But again, a lay person approach. It's somebody who is not a professional. Like I say in my intros, this is a casual stream where somebody else that you're sitting next to in a pew, if you decided to go to church out of desperation or for whatever your motivations, I might shake your hand on the way in the door or sit next to you in a pew, and maybe we talk afterwards. Emmanuel, I had a kid 2 days ago. Well, a day and a half ago. I had my third kid. That's why I'm shaved. It's a tradition. So that's when this and I struggled with this for probably about 6 months that I had this idea in my head. And part of the problem was now I start to put this out on the internet and anybody can look it up. And what if I offend somebody? And what if somebody starts to brigade me and all this other stuff? And I realized that, my faith needs to be stronger than my fear for retribution. Not to say that I am a lightning rod. I say things that are highly controversial, though the things that I feel like what's normal is becoming much more controversial every day. I don't understand it, but it is. My faith needed to be stronger than any fear that I had that something could happen to me, if people decided they wanted to come after my reputation. Right? Take things out of context or tell everybody I'm doing whatever. And so eventually I decided, I was like, all right, push the button, or I'm going to go ahead and hit the button on it. Go at this, give it the good college try and see what we're after. What becomes of this? And so I made some trial videos, which I ended up making public. They're the first videos on this channel. I ended up making them public. I did them unscripted, but I didn't do them live. I took different takes. If I was talking and things got out of control, if I felt like there was something wrong, I would redo it. The goal was always to start doing it live. And then what we were doing is we were going through the Old Testament in Sunday school. In the Sunday school I was teaching to middle schoolers, and I was like, that's when I got the idea of reading through the Bible. Because what you can do, because I realized how limited, there was so much more to talk about in the Bible than what we were able to get across. We would never get these kids out of Sunday school if we wanted to teach them everything that was in the Bible, everything that was even in the Old Testament. I mean, we've seen this. This is almost 2 years of work that we put into this, as streaming most days of the week. So there you go. And then finally, I just started live streaming, and I was streaming to nobody. And then I brought Eric Roll. I reached out to Eric Rollon. I saw him in an interview. I saw him or Nick interview him. Eric Rollon brought me a few viewers. I kept going, very low rate, and then Nick came on to talk about homeschooling, and that's where a bunch of y'all showed up. Nernath, Nico, MR, Porcupine, a lot of you folks. Alias, I think, as well. There's a bunch. Dresden, I think, came from there. And then more when I put the super chat out there during the Rittenhouse interview. But that's always what it was. It wasn't the original idea to get into streaming. The streaming was, like I said, I give Nick a lot of credit for inspiring me to say, look, it's possible to get on there and talk about things. And you can just do it, right? There are people out there who might want to listen. And that's kind of, but I did not receive the success that he had received. Scope topics a little bit more limited, right? I don't think perhaps I'm not as charismatic as he is, but it was before he came on. Me and my wife had suggested maybe I go to a weekly show instead of pouring in so much time every day into something that I really wasn't getting much viewership on, and I wasn't getting much impact. And really, you can preach the gospel, but you want it to get to people. And so maybe we were thinking maybe a weekly show would be better. And I said, I'll wait and see what kind of traffic gets drawn from Nick. And then boom, you guys came in. We had a very great day-to-day showing of folks. And so I said, nope, I'll keep it today. I'll keep it doing it day to day. And again, she's been behind me 100%. Even though streaming's not her thing, she thinks that streaming's it's difficult for her to process, the concept of streaming, and I understand that for a lot of people. I don't always understand it myself, but like I said, I want this channel to grow. I want it to grow. I would love to have huge impact. Right? I'll never forget and I would never forget the folks at the beginning who helped get me there, from Carl and and Matt Felty, some of the newer everyday listeners, all the way to Nico and Nico's and MR's and Nernaeth's, and then all the way to Fig Newton, kind of my original regular. Never forget you guys if I ever blew up. And the stream was just difficult to manage. I would always look for you guys. But if it stays just you guys, or if it stays a comfortable, close, what do you want to call it, intimate group like we have most nights, I'm fine with that. Abandoned Virginia. Brian says, look at that freshly shaved face. I know you saw it getting shaved. Andrew saying, bold move walking the red shirts right now. Look, I don't need some Yankees fan big league in me. That game's probably over too, by the way. 6-2. I'm so shocked. It's tough being a Reds fan. It's tough being a Reds fan. Oh, and Wandy Peralta came in there. That's what he was a pitcher for. He was a reliever for us. Emmanuel, who is this man? Nice shave, though. Thank you. I appreciate that. As opposed to Sean out there saying I look like a turtle. He said, once the spirit starts talking, it doesn't stop, you know. I know. Nernea said, I think of Mordecai speaking to Esther. Who knows? But that God has prepared you for such a time as this. Perhaps. Just kidding. Toss Nernea at the Brigaders. No. What about the hair? Better have bicked it? Nope. No, I'm not bicking the hair, dude. That's your thing, not mine. I am close shaved. I'm an 1/8 inch. And that's as close as I can get. We need to send a picture. I got to send a picture of that to Kevin, though. Send a picture of that to Kevin. Matt Felty, thank you for the background. Appreciate how you pause to process what you will say and gather your thoughts. That is a lot of times the increase in times that you've seen me do that. That is coaching from my wife to remind me the ums and ohs, and that's not conducive to good dialogue or monologuing. Emmanuel, what? I'm happy for you, brother. Kids are a blessing, but nah, I'm good for the most part. No, Stu, let the people bring their hate to me. It's hilarious to me. I don't give a crap. And Mar's saying, no, it takes 2 years. You'll blow up. We'll see. It'll be 2 years and a couple of months. Emmanuel, as the good saying goes, big things start with humble beginnings. Amen. Underneath, I can never think about Carl without thinking of llamas and hats. Boo Yankees, go Tigers. Well, I was talking about today. The Reds drafted last year Lou Collier's kid, Cam Collier. Maybe it's Collier. Look, my brother's been a Yankees fan all his life. He's taken a lot of heat from it into my family. My brother is white. My brother likes questionable teams, but he has certainly shown his dedication to them. Emmanuel says, honestly, I thought that you were a friend that was substituting for you, and I'm glad I got in early because I'm learning so much. That's what I said. I heard this. I saw this on Twitter today. Nick's a recording artist now. Akira the Don made a single featuring him as a speaker. It's members only right now. The government should fear the people. Yes. They said, honestly, I thought that you were a friend. That's what I said. I thought Nernea was going to roll this. Somebody's hijacked his stream. It's good to know so many of you guys are watching. It actually makes me want to increase the production value of the show, which is So no, MR. Oh no, MR. Don't ever apologize for hating on the Yankees. I don't care. Oh, come move to New Jersey. You can be the bully. Be the bully. And I don't know. That was your bro. Sorry, Stu. It's okay. If they'd have you'd have been able to meet him if they'd have let you downstairs during the show in Philly because he was sitting next to me. But yeah, Nerne, like Nerne said, too iconic a voice. I mostly listen. Again, at least I'm honest about this stuff. No, I think it's hilarious. I mean, but it's true, right? It's true. I have to say, I was like, look, I don't look the same. My kids are still shocked, and they were there when I did it. They say I look, and I don't know if you're still watching, Andrew. I don't know if you seeing this. They go, you look just like Uncle Andrew, and I was like, yeah, do I though? And Carl hear it all the time. All right. With that said, I'm going to start closing down shop. Um, it's been a wild ride this week, right? For a lot of things. This has not been an easy pregnancy for my wife. Again, she is older. She feels those extra years as she's been progressing through it, but she has given birth to a healthy baby and a healthy, and she is feeling better each and every day. Feeling better each and every day, and I'm blessed for it. She's blessed for it. The family is blessed about this, and but it's been, there's been some stress points. It's been a very stressful year in that instance. Um, been a very stressful year, but one that has strengthened our relationship and faith in God, and helped us um, realize how strong we are as a family unit, and the importance of having these family units. I'm glad you guys all. I knew y'all would be happy. I knew y'all would be excited. Um, really, I I try to share as much with you guys and give you a sneak peek into my personal goings on. But I wanted to keep this kind of a secret, even from the very first pregnancy. I wasn't going to tell you guys until everything turned out okay, or I had something to say, something concrete, and tell you this is how we're dealing with it, right? And so this is where we're at. So expect more. I'll probably bring her on stream once, maybe next week. Just hold her while I'm streaming for a little bit. Might have to pause though. Might have to pause if she gets fussy. But it's great. It's great. We're back on schedule next week though. 8:30. This is why we're here on 8:30s now. Back on schedule next week. I'm still having softball, so it's still not Mondays. It'll be Tuesday. We'll roll them through there. So Russians wait till after the kid is born. To me, it's just there's so many unknowns. There's just so many unknowns. But I appreciate y'all's kind words. I appreciate all of the views, all the support. Period. 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 Or whatever the kids say. So MR, Matt Felty, Blaine, Emmanuel, Carl, Nernaeth. I need to check in on Porcupine, see how he's doing. To my brother, I love you, man. You are an amazing dude, and you know, glad we have shared a lifetime together. Um, to Brian, Abandoned Virginia, guys, check out his channel as well if you like going through like old stuff. Brian is a sports card dealer, collector, and and he looks at abandoned properties and abandoned houses. That's his channel. He's been doing it for years. Blaine's Escape Corner. If he's streaming tonight, I might drop in. We'll see how that goes. He's got a great thing if you're into anime and talking about that. It's a hilarious show. I'll continue to say it, criminally undersubbed. He's got a great presentation for. He's just got a great presentation for streaming. Great voice, great execution in his speech, and he's witty. So, who else? What else are we talking about here? Dresden, I know you're asleep probably, but I'll be praying for you. I'll be praying for you as you go through these difficult times while I grow my beard back. Sean Bird, hilarious, dude. Welcome to the Turtle Club. I think that might be it. That's it. All right, guys. Great week. You guys have a great weekend. Productive, relaxing, safe, all that stuff. Inuits don't name the kid until he's 2. Well, I don't live in Canada. In case it's taken by a snow fox or a snow dingo, might eat your baby. The channel is Abandoned Virginia. We're coming up with homeless solutions tonight. Is it going to be a final homeless solution? So we're Fire Emblem friend there. Dude, there's been some Fire Emblem talk. I haven't paid it. I didn't know if there was any Fire Emblem talk going on there beforehand, but it's definitely been discussed afterwards. So, but thank you guys for y'all's attention. Y'all have a great weekend. Be good. And we'll be back on Tuesday. Hopefully at some point I'll get my video card back so we can go back to the normal, just some normality. And I won't have 2 computers next to each other. This is so annoying. Anyway, no, it's hilarious, Mimar. All right, guys. You guys, I love y'all. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for watching. Thank you for every bit about it. Every bit of it. Have a very good night. And God bless.